I can't believe it. I just shot a big bull. I have tears in my eyes. I worked so hard for this. I can see him right now. He's on the ground. Oh my gosh. He's down. Oh my gosh, dude. This is awesome. He's down. I'm gonna give him a second. Oh. Big bull. I've been sitting around today just wanting a cow or a calf or just to see something. And I went by this area where there was a lot of rubbing that Casey was showing me. Oh, dude, I can't believe this. And I bumped this cow in this spike. And the spike was in velvet. And he was looking right at me at 45 yards. And then he ran away. And I was headed in that direction anyway. I thought, shit. There goes my chance of the day. I keep going, and there's this bull 35 yards in front of me. I'm shaking like crazy, trying to get a range on it. I get a range on it, and I didn't even check wind or anything. And, dude, just like in between trees, like a volleyball size window. And I just freaking spanked it, man. Let's go. I've been working so hard at this. I've been practicing so hard, man. Okay, let's go get our bull.
Boom, 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 boom,
No, don't say no, just say yes to the rest of the best of the rest of the nesting birds in the southern seas and sunshine hills.
Yeah, that was about as good as I could do. So yeah, that was real. Cole sent me that after he harvested his first big game animal. He put an arrow in a bull elk, and he did that in the backcountry of Utah. So we are going to tell a little. We're going to let him tell a little bit more of that story, and then we're going to dive into our hunting plans for the season, and hopefully, give something interesting to you. Maybe what we learned from last season, what we plan to do this season differently, maybe where we'll be generally, and we're going to have some fun. We're going to get crazy.
Yeah, I like it. Let's get after it. So in that intro video, it pretty much tells the whole story. So I'm not going to add too much on there besides that bull dropped 20 yards from where it was when I hit it. And it was just such a good feeling to have that moment, whether it was a reward mechanism, because I was alone and I, whether it was the mustache I had and I shaved the beard, whatever. But probably. I did actually listen to that before we were recording this, and I was like, it's a little embarrassing. I'm crying and all that. But it was really cool. It was a cool moment, and looking forward to feeling that again. I think with archery, it's just a bit different with bow hunting than it is rifle.
It's so intimate. It's so intense. No matter what happens, if you miss, if you hit it but you're not sure, the sensation is heightened so much because there's not the distance between you and the animal, and there's not the blast of a rifle. Yeah. It's just quiet, and you just like pull your release, and it's just and then all of a sudden you're like, you hit it or or you didn't, and
Yeah.
the emotions are there instantaneously because you can't look through a spotting scope to say, oh, is it bleeding? No, you can tell exactly where the arrow hit. Yeah. It's crazy.
And in a lot of cases, you'll have to use your ears to hear if that was a good shot or not, if it hit vitals. And then, you've got to wait. You don't want to bump that animal. Because an arrow is definitely lethal, and there's a lot of lethal combinations, but I mean, it's not a firearm. Firearms can really down those animals pretty quick, and then you can be able to see them through your scope. That's where they are. Okay, let's go over there. But when you're putting an arrow through something, it's like, okay, let's wait. Okay, let's blood trail. Oh, is it going to be there or not? I don't know. Did I do good enough or not? Did I pick the right gear? Did I practice enough? And then you show up, the animal's there, and it's like a flood of emotion. It's quite cool and intimate for sure. But speaking of intimates, this program is brought to you by Evans Intimates. No, it's
a candle company made of human earwax.
We had a shout out. This is actually a friend of Casey's. I believe at Le Texas Yeti. I don't even know how to pronounce it. L-E Texas Yeti.
I think that's the purpose. He speaks French, so maybe that's why.
Le Texas Yeti.
Monsieur.
He added something to his story a few weeks back. He said, I'm counting on Survival of the Fittest for this shameless shout out. Don't let me down. And
Do we never let anybody down? Hell no.
Well, this is our first chance. So I've got in my hands, this is the drink that he referenced in his story. It's Alani New, which is short for Alani Nutrition. It's juicy peach. I've never had this before. I'm going to go ahead and crack this open for the good folks at home. Right by the mic.
Yeah.
I'm not in love with the ingredients. Big surprise, but
what Mama don't know won't hurt her.
It's pretty good. It tastes like those. It tastes like a better version of those peach rings. This is good.
Yeah.
You know who drinks Alani New?
Who? President Joseph Biden?
Not people that look like me. I've followed them on Instagram and stuff, just on our.
I look like you, bro. I drink them. I don't.
Well, I followed them on our podcast.
Transsexual
pages.
Version of you.
That's not true. I follow them on our podcast pages, and all they do is like post things of super young women who don't ever wear shirts. Dude, I don't know. Look at this branding. A guy like me shouldn't be drinking this, but a lot of guys like me, I think, do for purposes unspeakable. But
what?
It's all right.
Purposes unspeakable? Like they need a little extra energy in the afternoon to get through their miserable 9 to 5?
No, because maybe they're trying to connect with the women. Just look these guys up. There's a bunch of women who probably drive Range Rovers and have lime green Lululemon leggings and probably have extensions in their hair, which is fine. That's great. And this is the drink for them. And if Alani New wanted to give us a code to give people if they're listening, great.
We'll drink it every day.
Product.
I'm going to give you guys a little secret. I do drink that every day. And I've never worn Lululemon leggings. I've worn Lululemon other stuff. But
pretty good.
And it also makes my peach look juicy. So, thanks, La Texas Yeti. That's going to get us through the evening. I've had plenty of caffeine for the day. I don't need any more.
I've had none. So here we go. So let's get after it. So our hunting plans, we're pretty much just hunting jackrabbits from fall to summer, right?
And then summer to spring is jack-o'-lanterns and jackalopes.
And that's all you need to know.
Jack of all trades.
We're doing it in Delaware. So
Delaware, Utah.
Delaware, Utah. But really though, what we have on the docket is reason why we showed that video is Casey and I, and potentially, if we can get him to come along, Caden from episode 4 of our podcast. If he wants to come along, that's great. But Casey and I are going to hold it down. We're going to be headed to over the counter unit and see if we can't stir up some trouble.
Yep. I'm going to be in trouble.
We didn't draw anything really. Draw
results are out in Utah, and my wife has a deer tag, and everybody else around me kind of struck out so far.
Cool, but not
Same
cool.
With Cole, right?
Yep. And for my wife, this is the first year I harassed her to do hunting education, and I'm really trying to get her and her dad on a hunt because their dad is a big hunter growing up. So before it's too late, I'm trying to get them to have that memory. So I think we were hoping maybe to get general deer tags for them, but that's not going to happen. So we'll just do an over-the-counter cow elk or spike elk here in Utah. Should be a good time.
Cool.
So, and then do you have your dedicated hunter tag still? Or is that up?
No, last year was my year 3.
Okay.
So that's in the past.
So calendar wise, for me, I still got my dedicated. I got 2 years left. I shot a buck last year on a general unit.
Q buck image.
Or I can just bring these over here, buddy.
Oh, shit. Is your camera wide angle? Hey. Oh, yes.
Shot that bad boy.
Nice, dude.
After
9 grueling days?
8 days and seeing no bucks. So I'll go back to that same unit, and I've got some good intel on the early season. I'll try to get one down with my bow. But I'm not going to hunt the rifle, I don't think, for that thing, for deer in Utah. So we've got that. And then after that, so then comes elk rut, where we're going to do over the counter in Utah. Got a nice little area. I think that we're going to do quite a bit of scouting, and we've got that kind of dialed in. I think that'll be good. Hopefully we can catch them in the rut. And then that would lead into your wife's tag, right? You want to talk a little bit about that?
I feel like there's got to be something between that and my wife's.
Well, that's September elk, right? Mid-September, and then hers is early October.
Yeah. We'll just hunt the same unit I grew up hunting. There's always some deer there. I don't think it's great right now, and they just upped the tag limit tremendously, I think, which is not good. Yeah. So we'll see what happens, but she's never killed a deer, and she's open to it. I have a vivid memory of when we were still dating, and I took her archery hunting with me down in southern Utah. And, and she's just wandering around with me in jeans and a Lululemon jacket, right? And there was a little 2x3 that jumped up kind of in a pretty big open meadow with just some rollers in it. A little 2x3 kind of came out of nowhere, and she went from, your typical non-hunter who has quite an affinity for life and preservation of life and animal species to kill it,
really,
shoot it. Yes.
Shouting like that.
Yes, dude.
Oh, she's straight killer.
She's saying kill it. And I mean, if it was a little bit bigger, I probably would have tried, but it was running away anyway, and I had a bow. It was just super funny to hear her do that, man. Because I just, haven't seen that since then either. So I got to get her back in the woods, and we'll see what happens if the instincts turn on.
Oh, yeah, man. I can't wait to hear about that hunt then. I feel like something good's going to happen.
That will be fun.
Because you all know that area like the back of your hand, your whole family. So shouldn't have too much trouble.
What's after that? Anything?
Well, so what's after that is probably one of the bigger hunts for you and I is we're headed up to Idaho. I'm not going to say what kind of tag or what unit. So it's either controlled
if it's
hunt.
a deer or elk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Could
we're
be
headed
anything.
up to Idaho end of October, and we're pretty excited. I think we're going to, really get after it there, do some good scouting, and try and get some bucks on the ground, bring back home.
Yeah.
That's the big one.
I hunted Idaho a lot for a few consecutive years as a kid. And back then, the hunting was crazy. We were seeing big, big bucks year after year. And I think it was over the counter. And the youth tag cost for over the counter was super cheap, even as a non-resident. It was great. But I don't think it's, that's the experience we're going to have. I think we're going to have to work a little bit, which is very much okay with me.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, so we skipped something. Aren't you going to Alaska?
Yeah, we skipped that. I have every intention of going to Alaska to hunt caribou in August.
Sweet.
Yeah, I hope to go with a crew from Mountain Bonded. And so if we end up going, which I really hope so, if we end up going, I'll try and document all of it and put a video together. Oh, we should reference some of the video work and I think a full-length film might be produced, but there's some teasers to a recent bear hunt that the founder of Mountain Bonded, Taylor, went on.
Yeah.
And it is some really cool artwork.
Really good.
Oh, I love that kind of stuff.
So Taylor Murdoch was on the hunt, and he was with some hounds, and then Tyree Adams did the camera work. Mm-hmm. And he's real good. He's real talented. Yeah,
check out Mountain Bonded's page. You'll see a shared post with Tyree, and yeah, it's so cool. It was a really big bear that they got on, and apparently an emotional experience, as you can imagine. That's pretty intimate. I think he shot it with a bow.
Yeah, he did.
And so yeah. So check that out. That's pretty interesting. Hopefully we can talk to Taylor about that, because I think he'll have a lot to say about what that was like.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should get him on in a week or so.
That would be good.
That'd be a good thing to do.
Yep. Okay. I think we're going to have a few fishing trips and just scouting trips before that. Those are other things I missed. So in the summer, so we got your caribou, archery, deer for me on dedicated, over-the-counter elk, you and I, maybe Caden. Then you got your wife's tag. Is that general deer?
Yep.
Okay, general deer. And then I'm going to try and get, like I said, my wife on a spike hunt or something probably in October. And if there's a couple days, I might check out rifle general in Utah. Yeah. Who knows? But most of the focus is going to be on Idaho for you and I.
The lesson that I have learned over the past few years is you should not overbook yourself. I mean, we got a couple of deer tags, an over-the-counter elk tag. Maybe our wife has a tag, right? And that's going to be actually a lot. I'm probably going to be going to Alaska. That's going to be so much. I don't know, what sort of living situation some of these other people have that, have tags all over the country and just hunt for 4 months straight. But I've had years where I've got a tag in all the surrounding states, and it is really hard. It is really hard, and you end up eating tag soup on a couple because you just can't prepare adequately. I would way rather have 2 tags that are decent and go all in on them and make it happen on those 2 hunts than I would 6 tags, pay the $6,000 for it or more, and then be able to hunt 3 days on each hunt and not get anything. It's so painful to have the opportunity seem to be so grand, but then not be able to execute just because of limitations, being a family man and having a job. And that's tough.
That is excellent advice. And I remember, I think it was 2 years ago, you were in that situation. I was like, holy cow, you show me your calendar and such. But that is, I just wanted to throw this last thing. And then an antlerless elk hunt. That's just put meat in the freezer. I don't know if you want to join on that with me.
I think I will.
Yeah, it's a road hunt, kind of truck hunt thing, but it's in
kind.
December, so it's pretty cold. Okay, so going into what you just said, I think we should talk about maybe some things we've changed up from last year, or things that we've just been tried and true for success. I think with what you just said is sometimes you may have to wait and you'll draw a tag based off of odds and such, which let me just give a brief overview. Super simplistic. In the Western United States, that's all I know, is you can't just go out in the woods and shoot whatever you want. Like, there's licenses, you have to be properly educated, then you can, and I'm of course talking to the people that don't know anything about hunting. So licenses, properly educated, and then you pay certain fees and tags to apply to hunt different species in different states. A lot of those are going to be like a random lottery draw. A lot of them are you're going to accrue points. Some of them are a hybrid of both. But there's all these systems in place where you can calculate what your odds are if you're a resident or a non-resident of that state on if I have X amount of points, I'll be able to draw that, or maybe be able to draw it 100%, zero, whatever.
Yeah.
There's so many metrics.
There are companies worth millions of dollars that specifically, millions and millions of dollars, that specifically help you coordinate your planning for the season of where you'll be looking for meat. Yeah.
And with that, I would say, so this last season I was with Onyx for my mapping and, drawing odds and all that. I've switched everything over to Go Hunt, and I am super happy about that change. I love using Go Hunt. I think it's really helped me be more prepared, and looking up different, application strategies, and then now looking at scouting and areas, especially if I don't live in that state. So I think that's a really good tool. And
what do you think about the Go Hunt maps? Have you liked those so far?
Yeah, it's been great. I can't complain one bit. There's tiny little things, but I think Go Hunt is about as cutting edge as anybody. And that's why I wanted to go with them, because they've just proved that time and time again. I think as well as you and I have had some talks this last winter, most recent winter, of okay, we know what we're doing in 24, but what are we doing in 25, 26, 27? Because we have all these points in all these different states, and we need to, not have 4 tags in 25 for the deer rut. Let's have a real good tag, which we have one lined up, and we're trying to kind of plan it that way. So a tool like Go Hunt can help you do that as well. And they give out great videos online for, different application strategies, and how if you want to hunt somewhere every year or hunt a species every year, there's definitely those possibilities. The last thing is the amount of preparation that you put into that, the e-scouting and the research. If you put that in, the e-scouting and go scouting, and then you go on the hunt, it's going to make it way sweeter because you've put in way more time. Even before you got boots on the ground. I think that makes a huge difference. I saw that on my deer hunt this year. It was nobody killed. It was such a hard hunt, especially in Utah. And I think that if I didn't e-scout and scout like I did, I wouldn't have had a chance. We had to change up a whole lot of stuff. And so I attribute a lot to that. Is there anything you're looking to change up this year, or try new things, new gear, products? You've talked about a bow, a new bow.
Yeah, that's kind of the only thing for me is I want to get a really solid archery setup. I have kind of always just bought a bow off of Facebook Marketplace that didn't have a ton of research behind it, gifted a bow that has something close to my draw length, and with some practice and coordination, and I can still shoot straight. but I would like to have more confidence in my equipment, specifically the bow. Boots are fine, tents are fine, bags are fine, everything else totally good. I feel like I'll be
Your
in
rifle,
shape.
you've got a great rifle too.
Rifle's good. My rifle's heavy. If anybody out there has a gun builder they want to line me up with,
It's
I would
heavy,
be
but
willing.
it's stable. Brady
Yeah,
Miller from
you
Go
can't-
Hunt, he takes like a 14-pound rifle out there because it's stable.
That's what was the joke I was gonna make?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, we already talked about Go Hunt, and they're going to send us some stuff, so we're going to leave it there. Yeah, that's really the only plan. Get a bow and get dialed in, and then take some dried apples from my own harvest. I'm into the garden right now, man. I can't get my mind off of it. The garden,
Yeah.
the fruit trees. Cole's going to be a homesteader. I'm going to be an urban homesteader.
An herbsman.
Mm-hmm.
Do you use a harvest right to
No.
like freeze dry?
My dad has one, but I
Oh.
don't. I just dehydrate, which I would much rather. I'd rather freeze dry it, but I have a little dehydrator that works okay.
I did the freeze dry meals. My in-laws have one, and the second half of the year, I had my own meals. I felt a whole lot less bloated and stuff. Just felt more energy. That's one thing with my nutrition out there. I just want to be able to dial in some macros and have good energy, making sure I'm not skimping on anything, so that if I need to go 10 days, I can go 10 days.
Yeah.
You know.
Brought to you by Smuckers.
Schmuckers.
The Smuckers slap. So we are going to go fishing in a couple weeks, and that seems like where you and I tend to have some of our most fun experiences.
Yeah.
Hunting's cool, but hunting is intense also. There's so much pressure. It's crunch time. You have 5 days, at most 7 days, to make this happen, and you can't get back to camp and speak loudly. You got to kind of whisper and wander around, and you're alone all day. But fishing, you're just sitting there by each other chatting, and then at camp you can be a little louder. So I think we're going to come back with some revelations about what it means to be a human being after we stargaze this time around. And no illicit substances will be consumed. I promise you that. Only fasting. Because if you fast, you can hallucinate. So we're going to fast, and we're going to see some stuff.
And aren't our wives trying to make the trip too?
Yeah, we're going to try and bring our wives. And there's only 2 of them. One for me and one for him.
Our favorite ones. It's going to be fun.
I derailed this a little bit just because I'm so excited about the fishing trip. But you can tell me if there's anything else that you left off the list. Is there anything you plan to bring to the season besides some more dialed nutrition?
A lot of things. I'm kind of a gear junkie. I think you know that. There's several things that I've flipped because I've kind of made the cycle of when I first started hunting 4 years ago and buying the gear. Almost everything, I just had to like kind of get by, but I've like flipped those things for a better thing. So backpack, I got a nice Kafaru pack. I've got better boots now. Trek boots instead of Danners. I've got a better, I really am trying to focus on my sleeping. I'm just things that are going to help me stay out there way longer. So I got a better sleeping pad, sleeping bag, invested in some really lightweight stuff. Not cheap at all. So looking forward to that. Maybe we'll do a video about this later. I switched to Kuiu. I actually think Kuiu is a better brand for hunting apparel. There you go. Than First Light. I've been really happy with that. So a lot of things I've switched around, but the last thing I'll touch on is a bow, because I too bought my first bow off of, like a Craigslist, a local Craigslist. And I just had to make it work. Like it kind of was my draw length, but I did some sketchy stuff to it that kind of made it not super safe, but it worked. And I shot thousands of arrows through it, and I downed a raghorn with it. But it just didn't feel right. Like the let off, the wall, going back, it was just weird in it. So I went ahead and got a Hoyt Highline, and I went through a shop to get everything tuned up, strings. They paper tuned it, and I can tell you I've started shooting that at longer distances the last couple days. It is way better. Like my groups are way tighter. It's way easier to shoot it. It's a better bow. It's a newer bow. Professionals have taken a look at it, and I highly recommend that. Like I just have so much more confidence in my gear, and I think my efficacy at longer ranges will be out, and I think just more confidence behind that. So.
Because previously you just had a bunch of D loops tied to the back of your bowstring to get your draw length, just like it was a little elastic bracelet.
Yeah, and I think I was about a ½ inch short, which doesn't sound on my draw length actually, because I shoot right now it's a 33.5. Yeah. So I was shooting a 33, and like a ½ inch, it really makes a difference. So anyway,
we've thought about doing some genetic testing to see how you get that sort of a draw length, but it's still an anomaly.
Yeah. So anyway, if you are as excited as we are with hunting coming up, reach out to us, let us know in the comments if you've drawn a sweet tag, or if you need some help with resources, you're trying to figure something out, maybe take a loved one or a child out on some hunts. We'd definitely love to share some ideas. We're not going to give you a bunch of information, but we could probably steer you in the right direction. There's a lot of good resources out there. Let's see, anything else we'd want to pass to our listeners from this? I want to know about.
No, I mean, good luck. Get outside, have fun, focus. Like I was mentioning earlier, focus your attention on a few things and really get the most out of them. Don't spread yourself too thin, and life is short. So when you're there, be there. Go with a good buddy who's going to work as hard as you and not leave you hanging out there so you die, some weird stuff like that.
Or flake on you day before.
Or flake, screw those guys, man.
And I think just don't worry too much about killing things. I mean, I'm all about that. I think success is, notching your tag, but it's a lot of pressure. So don't worry too much about that. Just worry about the details, the preparation, every little routine thing. Go through that, prepare yourself really well so that when you get into it, you're ready to rip. Another thing I said, anybody out there who's bear hunters this spring, we're going to get into that spring of 25. So that's another thing, change up, get ready for. Super excited for that. So.
Okay. Well, until another Thursday night, man.
Yep.